There it is. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Cruise Control, your on air automotive magazine. As usual, we are raring to go. We're at our microphones. I'm Les Jackson. The other guy is Fred Staub.
Hey.
And welcome, welcome. We're in the driver's seat, sort of,
Exactly.
except we don't have a steering wheel, but we do have plenty to talk about today.
We sure do, Les. Let's get started with Mercedes. They plan on continuing the power and performance of AMG even though they're not burning fossil fuels. We'll have the details on the 677 horsepower all wheel drive EQE. Sounds like a
Boy,
handful.
it sounds absolutely adequate.
Thank you. That was adequate.
That's right. And hey, headlight tech finally gets approved. It's going to probably should finally cut down on glare, and looking forward to that.
Yeah, a lot of people complain about that. The LED lights, it's too
Yep.
much. Well, this is technology that's been around in Europe and it's going to be heading our way. And comeback kids, could VW, a VW model, a beloved VW model, and the Delorean be returning to showrooms? Well, we'll tell you about that. Seems like it's a good case for both of them, Les.
Well, there's a big following, massive following for the Beetle, and the DeLorean has, a lot of enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Over at Consumer Reports, they just released their 2022 brands report card, and it's top vehicle picks. And Mike Quincy, who's been on the show a number of times, joins us a little later.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go over the results. Might be some surprises. Never know.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I wonder too if you can get any of those $25,000 vehicles for
Probably not.
$25,000. Doesn't seem
Probably
like you
not.
can. Yeah.
No.
So we will talk about that and a whole lot more. Don't forget to check us out at cruisecontrolradio.com, where you can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and all that good stuff. So plenty of that coming up on Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. As Les said, I'm Fred Staub, and he is Les Jackson. And Les, it has been a great week in the automotive industry, and always it's good to sit here and talk with all the developments with you. So good stuff.
Yep. I'm looking forward to this whole year for some reveals that we'll get to go to.
Yep.
Um, you know, uh, we're kind of, I hate to say it this way, but we're kind of back in the driver's seat,
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
except we can't get anything to drive.
That's right. Right. Well,
But,
we'll be back after the break on Cruise Control, your on air automotive magazine. Stay tuned. And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. I'm Fred Staub. He is Les Jackson. We are glad you're along for the ride. Good times here. A lot of people are concerned. Electric vehicles on the way. Will that mean there's no more performance? It might be just the opposite, Les. And there is a new vehicle that Mercedes has out. Has the unfortunate name of EQE, which means absolutely nothing to me. But
it doesn't mean anything to me. I guess electrical something.
I don't know. It means nothing. But anyway, this is an all-wheel drive AMG electric vehicle, right? And it has 617 horsepower, but you can also get the AMG Dynamic Plus package, which will boost it up to 677 horsepower. There are two electric motors. These things are huge. It is all-wheel drive, 0 to 60, for a vehicle that looks to be about the size of the S-Class, just looking at it.
4,000 pounds.
Something like that. 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds for the 617 horsepower version, and 3.2 seconds for the 677 horsepower version. Top speed 137 and 149, depending on what you get. It looks like Mercedes will continue with the AMG specific type vehicle. They have AMG specific electric motors to make this thing a real monster when it comes to power. And there's a lot of technology in there too. They have a capacity of 90.6 kilowatt hours, the battery, quick charging time, which can get you 112 miles of range in just 15 minutes, which is pretty darn amazing if you think about that. 15 minutes is a bathroom break. It's a bathroom break, right? So
that's right. It's time to fill up and wash the window and go in and get whatever at the convenience mart.
Now, no surprise, this vehicle still includes things like AMG ride control with adaptive damping in the suspension. There is rear axle steering as standard. This is something we've seen from several manufacturers. Some are offering it. I think Mercedes on certain vehicles is offering it as an option, a paid option or a subscription. But in this case, with the AMG, you get rear steering. And it has a variety of different modes that will basically cut the power or add power. So there's slippery mode, only gives you 50% output, 308 horsepower, only 308 horsepower less.
Only.
And then comfort mode, about 493 horsepower. That's pretty comfortable, wouldn't you say?
Pretty comfortable. And of course, I know you would choose race start.
Without boost function or with boost?
No, with boost.
That's 110% power. That's what the military calls battle power or military power, right?
Flank speed, flank power.
Yeah.
You could do that in all the airplanes, but the engines can only run for a very specified amount of time before you destroy them.
Before you tear them up. Yeah, no, we don't know if that's a problem with this. I don't think so, but you'll deplete your battery.
I doubt it.
You will deplete your battery for sure, right?
I can just see a day, and not too many years, when young guys will be sitting at wherever they hang out, and instead of talking about carburetors and superchargers and scatter shields on the clutches, they'll be talking about large inductance stator windings.
Yeah, or hey, I put my monster cables in to go from my battery pack to the motor. Yeah.
It'll be a whole new bragging system. people have got to test electric cars. They're going to be very impressed with what they do.
Well, one of the things too, it's a performance car, so it's got to sound good. So they have something called the AMG Sound Experience, which sounds sort of like a psychedelic band from the '60s. Hey, it's the sound experience, man. They have a full range of wide bandwidth sounds for this vehicle. We'll tell you a little bit more about this vehicle. It is the Mercedes EQE, the performance vehicle from Mercedes, the AMG group. So stay tuned to Cruise Control. When we come back, we'll have more about that. And we're going to talk about some headlight tech that could eliminate that annoying glare. So stay tuned.
Yes. And welcome back to Cruise Control. Fred and I were talking before the break about this upcoming AMG Mercedes that's going to be sort of dynamite on wheels.
I don't think they'd like it called dynamite.
Well,
But
well,
we were talking about the AMG sound experience, right? Which,
yeah, no, I want your go ahead and talk about that, but I want your opinion on which sound you would want.
oh man, I don't know. I tend to like. I always thought watching shows when I was a kid, they would make cars sound like they had a jet turbine in them, and I always thought that was cool. So
Yeah,
maybe
no,
something like that.
uh, I wouldn't mind a gentle rumble, but not a not a cacophonous blast.
Okay.
Um, or something kind of spaceship sounding,
All right.
you know.
Well,
Anyway,
you can control these sounds from the steering wheel of this EQE. And you can go with balanced, sport, or powerful in any drive mode. During race start, the vehicle produces a unique sound to match the dynamic acceleration. I love the sound of that. That
which
is
is the sound of your passengers screaming.
let me out. Yeah,
Ah!
yeah. Well, there you have it. That is the well. Look at the interior.
That's a spectacular interior.
Yeah, the whole dashboard is basically a screen. So
Yeah, a big control, control panel.
man, I think this thing might even cost $50,000. What do you think?
I think you're going to have to add another 100 to that, I'm sure.
You might have to add another 200 to it, but we'll talk about
Yeah.
that. Something a little bit more down to earth. It involves headlights. Now, you and I have talked about this a lot. That modern headlights, LED headlights, really do a great job, but they can be kind of annoying to oncoming drivers, can't they? And they have a problem of they basically blind people. They can't see. They distract them. Well, what about adaptive headlights? And we've heard about this from a lot of different people around the world, and they are basically a way of controlling the light. Little by little, the light is controlled, and it is only the light used for illuminating the road is there. It's not. It basically controls the light very, very finely, so you're not getting that scatter of light. And I think this has been around in Europe since 2006, which is a long time for this type of technology to be coming in. But active beams will illuminate more of the road ahead while simultaneously aiming the light away from oncoming cars. This is a welcome development. NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, has just published a 327-page document outlining every detail of the rule change. And these lights should be coming in pretty quickly to the marketplace because, as I said, it's a very mature technology. And it has been around since 2006 in Europe. So it's probably going to be a big difference for people using the old style headlights and also people just wanting to be able to not be blinded at night by those LED headlights. So I think it's a good thing. I think we will see this as a positive development for all the various drivers out there, whether you're watching or whether you're oncoming or you're driving behind the wheel. Good stuff. Now let's talk a little bit about comebacks for certain vehicles. Interesting article about an interview with the CEO of the VW Group, Herbert Diess. And he was doing something on Reddit called Ask Me Anything, and Ask Me Anything session. And people were asking him a little bit about the upcoming microbus. And then he said, we have a lot of iconic vehicles that we would also potentially bring back other beloved vehicles because of the scalability of what Volkswagen calls the MEB platform. That is the platform that underpins just about everything, including this new microbus. And they are potentially going to bring back the Beetle. He didn't say it by name, but
yeah, but you can bet it is because there's still millions of people that would like to see some sort of Beetle around. Granted, the sales in 2019 when they ended it were dwindling, but that's that was a model that had been around for 21 years.
yeah. Well, do you think if it comes back, they'll make it a crossover Beetle?
Um, well,
Stranger things
that's a
have
good.
happened.
I think it could be a crossover. It would be a Beetle, but it would be sort of enlarged, I think.
Okay.
And of course, electric.
Yeah, it would have to be electric, that's for sure. So, do you think they could ever bring back the Carmen Gia or something like that?
If they thought there was a market for a little sports car, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but
Interesting, though.
sports cars are weird, you know.
Sports cars are definitely weird. There's a report out this week that the BMW Z4 might not get another generation, that they might do away with that.
People driving them are being intimidated by big vehicles. Um,
Yeah.
it's it's just they're becoming impractical because of the desires of everybody else
Have a
to go big.
Yeah. Well,
Weird.
let's talk about another car that will be making a comeback. Not might, will be making a comeback, and that is the DeLorean. You remember there's a company down in Texas, I believe, that has bought all the parts and pieces to the
Yep.
DeLorean. They basically will build your old school DeLorean, and or refresh it if you want. They can even build, since they are a low volume builder, they can even build you a complete new DeLorean from existing parts. Well, now they're talking. They've released a little bit of a teaser video. They're talking about building an electric version, a new modern version of the DeLorean, and it's pretty exciting. We put the teaser up on our Cruise Control Radio Facebook page, so if you want to check that out, go over there. It really is a little bit of a tease. It's not it's not
It's
a
yeah.
lot of a tease, but it's
Actually, this is a great idea on several levels. And you know, the big Achilles heel of the DeLorean was that Renault engine. It was underpowered, didn't have any torque.
mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, it had a
yeah,
Renault. It had a Renault V6, right?
a V6, which, by the way, the just DeLorean enthusiasts over the last 20 years have been converting the very awkward carburetors in it to a special manifold with a standard, you know, Edelbrock type 4 barrel.
Wow, wow.
And it improves the drivability quite a bit.
Yeah, yeah. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. Well, we'll follow all those stories on Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. A lot coming up. Um, I was just saying about the headlights, Les, that I'm excited about. Adaptive headlights will finally be making their way
Yep.
into the U.S. So that's good stuff, isn't it?
It's terrific. NHTSA really has wanted to allow work into law modern headlight technology. It's not as simple as, you know, a group of them at the agency saying, okay, you can do this. You know, they have to go through endless amounts of red tape.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go through a little red tape, just taking a break. And when we come back, we've got some great information from Mike Quincy of Consumer Reports about their brand report card and top vehicle picks. So stay tuned. And welcome back to Cruise Control Radio, your on-air automotive magazine. We're glad you're along for the ride. Always want to bring you some great information if you're going out to buy a new vehicle. And wow, if you are going out to buy a new vehicle right now, we wish you luck because it's like going into combat, basically.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Les and I have talked about this, and now Mike Quincy is actually going to give us some great information. Mike is from Consumer Reports. He's joined us before. And Mike, you've got some great information here for people to go out and buy new vehicles. But let's talk a little bit about it. There's some rough times for people going out to buy a new vehicle right now, right?
Yeah, I think it reminds me of something my grandfather used to say, and I think it goes like "rot's a ruck."
Yep.
You know, I don't mean to go old school on everybody, but no, now is a horrible time. I mean, it's a buyer's market, whether you're looking for new or you're looking for used. I mean, the funny part is that people have like a 2 or 3 year old car, and the dealers are contacting a coworker who has a 2-year-old Subaru Crosstrek, and they want to give them $5,000 more than what they paid for it.
Right.
I mean, how many people have an equity in like a new car?
I know.
Yeah, but then what do you drive?
That's right. That's
whatever
right.
you buy is going to cost you that and much more.
That's right. It's like, the housing market is great. Why don't you sell your house? Well, you're going to have to buy another house to live in. Well, you guys have put out 2 great reports this week, and let's talk about the brands one first. And this is always interesting, and I think the winner, you and I have talked about this, Mike, before. People are very loyal to this brand that you put at the top of your brands report. Tell us a little bit about the brands report card. How do you work it, and what are you looking for there?
Well, as we accumulate this list, we're actually averaging the overall scores for each brand's models, factoring road test performance, predictive reliability, owner satisfaction, and safety. And I think the best news and the real takeaway from the most current Consumer Reports brand report cards is that you don't have to spend a lot of money to get a really good car. And that's highlighting the top 2 brands on our list, which are Subaru and Mazda. Okay. You know, not considered, premium nameplates by any means. But what is so awesome about these 2 companies is their consistency. Year in, year out, they deliver high quality products that are fuel efficient, reliable, and packed with standard safety gear.
Yeah. Yeah, the Subaru has some of the best loyalty of any brand. People, they buy them and they just come back, and I guess that's a sign of what you found, right?
Absolutely. I mean, when you look at Consumer Reports brand report card ratings, there's a category called owner satisfaction. And Subaru owners love their cars. Mazda owners love their cars. Certainly where I am here in the Northeast, Subaru seems to just own this territory. And, for good reason, because all but one of their models as standard all-wheel drive. So that certainly helps in a crazy Northeast winter like we're having right now.
And now, of course, this makes me ask, the venerable traditional top brands are always Honda and Toyota. And it's not like they're bad cars. They're certainly great cars, but they've actually been outpaced by Subaru and Mazda. Is there one particular category that they're lower in?
Well, it really depends. I mean, in terms of Toyota, for example, their products are very solid. Their products usually do well in Consumer Reports testing. They're not always at the top of every category, but they're consistent enough. Listen, Toyota's still in the top 10, and that's not bad. As well as Honda is also in the top 10. But you have to look at also that the fact that Acura and Lexus are also really good performers. So the company is both those companies are doing a lot of things really well across the board. But again, to emphasize that these, Honda, Toyota, Mazda and Subaru, you don't have to spend a lot of money to get a high quality product.
That's right. I mean,
you do now, but normally
that's true. That's true. We were just talking about a story I said about a friend of the family that went in to buy a Civic. She needed a car. Hers had many miles on it, and it just was not repairable, worth repairing. And they're like, we must charge you $5,000 over MSRP. And she said to them, I believe that might be illegal. It is not illegal. It may be unethical. It may be bad business, but it's not illegal.
Yeah, the three of us love cars. And obviously, one of the things that I've done for Consumer Reports over the last 20 plus years is bought a lot of test cars. I think I'm up to about 155. And so I see what goes on at the dealer level. And honestly, the vast majority of the dealers that I've worked with over the years are honest, hardworking businessmen and women. So it does pain me to hear these stories, because it always seems like the automotive world from a product standpoint couldn't be better. They're safer, they're more fuel efficient, there's more variety, but at the retail level, you know, there's still have a ways to go. And I had to buy the Ford Bronco for the test program, you know, in the beginning of the pandemic. And I got away with only $5,000 over MSRP, and Consumer Reports hardly ever wants to spend over MSRP, but it turns out I got a bargain.
Now, do they know you're from Consumer Reports, Mike, or do you wear a disguise or something? Or if you can't say, you tell me. Or I mean, like, you buy a lot of cars, so they must, you know.
They must see you. They must recognize you.
Well, you know, with this face, they think it's Halloween every day. Talk about a disguise. No, actually, the thing about automotive retail, certainly here in Connecticut, is there's usually a pretty high turnover rate. Right. So I keep a spreadsheet of all the dealers that I go to, so I'm not continuously going back to the same ones. And I don't say that I'm from Consumer Reports until the day of delivery. So when I go. When I make the initial contact, I say, I'm Mike Quincy. This is my own private car. And, you know, the best part is to say, yeah, I'm paying in cash, which is awesome. It's great to spend other people's money. But then the day of delivery, I contact the salesperson. I say, you know, just a little update here. I'm from Consumer Reports. This is going to be a test car. The registration is going to be different. Just want to give you a heads up. Yeah. And most at the time, the dealers are like, oh, this is cool. And occasionally the dealers go, oh, they go into a panic. Like, no, don't worry.
I got to talk to my manager.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's a car sale. You'll get your commission. It's all good. It's just like it's like a company buying a car, and that's what you're doing, right? Yeah, but let's talk about some of the brands that did not fare as well. And some of them I understand, and one of them I got a question about. So, all right, so we look to the other end of the best and worst brands, Tesla. Now, we have a segment called As the Tesla Turns, because of all the drama that goes on and missing parts and things like that. But I mean, why did they end up on your near the bottom, I would say? Not at the bottom, but near the bottom.
Well, for years, Tesla has had issues with reliability. I mean, sometimes the best a Tesla can do is about average in Consumer Reports reliability surveys, which isn't awesome. But what really hurt the Tesla standing in the brand report card is their change from a steering wheel to this yoke, which is, you know, you think of, like, you know, Knight Rider, you know, Kit had this little, you know, it looked like an airplane wheel, but it really hurt usability. It hurt drivability. The controls are an absolute nightmare. And so they have fallen in our brand report cards. And you know, I love being on your podcast. Consumer Reports also has a podcast called Talking Cars. Yep. And to me, it's always a miracle that we can get through an entire podcast without talking about Tesla.
Same with us. Yes, we can't do it because they're kind of the bad boy in the school. You know, you got to always talk about the
Musk
troublemaker.
He said, "I don't know why we did the yoke. I don't really." It's like, well, if you don't know, then
why did you
do it? You know, it just seems like changing for no reason. It just
well, yeah, yeah. To shock and awe is one thing. It may be in the entertainment business, but it really doesn't work in the car business. And to me, Tesla has been one of those moments in my automotive life where a car became a status symbol. I mean, it wasn't just I'm going to save the environment by driving an electric car. It's like I have a Tesla. And that's like, I go to this fancy country club, or I have a fancy watch or something like that. In the end of the day, a car is supposed to get you from point A to point B, and we're all car enthusiasts here, but I mean, it became such a status symbol that people are just overlooking all the other flaws inherent in some of the designs of these cars.
Now, Mike Quincy, we're coming up on a break. Yep. We're going to talk a little bit more about this best and worst brands, and then we're going to go into your picks. And as you said, they're not all expensive picks. Some of them start around $25,000. So good stuff. Mike, stay with us because we're just getting started on Cruise Control and taking a look at these Consumer Reports. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Cruise Control. We're having a lot of fun with my Quincy from Consumer Reports. By the way, I'm Fred Staub, and of course, Les Jackson is here, as he is every week. We are talking about a couple of different reports that Consumer Reports did. They revealed them this week. The 2022 brand report card and the top vehicle picks. And we were kind of working with Mike on the bottom end of the worst brands. We won't go through them all, but I'm sure, Mike, you can give us a link if people want to list all of them. But surprising, at the very bottom was a brand that has a ton of loyalty, and that is Jeep. Why did they make the bottom end of the chain there?
Jeep definitely has issues with reliability, and some of their product line is pretty old. I mean, the lifeline that Jeep is getting is a redesigned Grand Cherokee, as well as the Wagoneer just coming out. But reliability is really the Achilles heel for Jeep. And it's too bad, because it's not like we don't like driving a bunch of these products. The Wrangler's full of character. I totally get the appeal to the Wrangler, unless I'm going on a long road trip.
Right.
But around town, it's tough to beat. It's hard to drive that vehicle and not have a smile on your face.
I agree.
They definitely have their work cut out for them in terms of improving reliability.
Yeah, absolutely. It does put a smile on your face, the Wrangler. I have to say that, and there is a certain feeling to it, but it might not be the feeling you want if you're going cross country. so I agree with that. But let's move on to some of your picks here, because it was sort of like two reports in one, right? And under $25,000, you can get an incredible car, Nissan Sentra. That is a great car, and you look at this vehicle on the inside, it is really like a mini luxury car. Plus, Nissan does all the safety features, right? They make them basically standard, don't they?
Well, yeah, and that's a really critical part for any vehicle to make Consumer Reports top picks. I mean, we need to have vehicles that score among the highest in their category in terms of their road tests. We need decent predictive reliability, high levels of owner satisfaction, and lots of standard safety features, including forward collision warning and automatic emergency braking. And you got to give hats off to Nissan for equipping a lot of their models with tons of standard safety features. The Sentra is really underrated. I think this is a car that looks small but drives big. The interior, certainly on the higher end models, is one that you think you'd have to pay a lot more money for. I mean, it isn't like the Sentra SER of the early 90s, which some of us remember as being just one of the awesome budget-minded performance cars of all time. I actually almost bought one of those, but inched over to an Acura Integra in 1993. But I often think about how awesome that SER is. Now, this Sentra is not quite like that in terms of driving, but for everyday performance, 32 miles per gallon overall in Consumer Reports testing. It does really well. It's a lot of car for the money.
Well, staying with Nissan, and here's the thing. A lot of people might say, well, yeah, that's nice. I don't want a sedan or whatever. But Nissan also offers a under $25K crossover in the Nissan Rogue Sport. And this is sort of it's sort of like a decontented older version of the Rogue, which is, I believe, their most popular model. But people like it because you get a lot for your money, don't you?
A lot for your money, 26 miles per gallon overall. This is Consumer Reports' top pick for a subcompact SUV. Not quite sporty, as in the name Rogue Sport, but it will still provide really good transportation, a lot of content, and again, extra standard safety features, not only including the list that I just mentioned, but the Rogue Sport comes standard with lane departure warning, blind spot warning, and rear cross traffic warning. And these are safety features that some really high-end, expensive cars charge extra for.
Do you think, I don't know what the plan is, and maybe you can't answer this and I can't either, but I guess they're going to bring it in line with the current Rogue as far as the styling that eventually, in a year or two, and it will be kind of just, once again, very similar to the Rogue. Right now, as I say, it's kind of looks like the older one, which is not a bad thing. But let's move on to your top brand, a vehicle from your top brand, and that is the Subaru Forester. What I like about this vehicle is the great visibility. You can see outside real easy because it's got a high roof line, and it's kind of like a square or a rectangle, and that's a good thing, really.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. The Forester is no stranger to the Consumer Reports top picks list. This is a vehicle that appeals to all kinds of drivers, tall drivers, shorter drivers, especially older drivers, because the seat level in terms of opening the door and being able to slide in behind the steering wheel is at such a good level. It's really easy to get in and out of. So if you're dealing with older parents and you need to get them in a vehicle, a Forester is a great choice because of the easy access. And like you said, Fred, the visibility is awesome, great reliability, about 28 miles per gallon overall in Consumer Reports tests. It's an easy pick for top pick for Consumer Reports in the small SUV category.
Yeah.
Do you and the other testers find the Subaru, especially the Forester, tends to ride a little bit stiffer than its competition?
I don't. I think it depends on the trim line you get. If you're getting something with stiffer suspension setting or larger wheels that decreases the sidewall of the tires, maybe. But I don't find the Forester ride to be stiff. Now I find the new WRX rides really stiff.
Oh yeah,
but it's supposed to be like that.
It's supposed to be like that. Yeah. We're going to have to jump ahead a little bit here because we're quickly running out of time, but we're going to always have to have Mike back because it's just a great time talking with him. Also in the 25 to 35,000 category, Toyota Prius Prime plug-in hybrid. Big fan of those. A vehicle that doesn't get enough love, in our opinion, the Honda Accord midsize sedan.
Yep, gets overlooked.
Yeah,
and a hybrid model also.
Yep, and then of course there is the Rav4 Prime, which this thing, if there was a hot rod from Toyota, a plug-in hybrid hot rod that does virtually everything well, 302 horsepower, 42 miles of electric-only range. And it's in a very popular vehicle, the RAV4. I mean, this is a home run for them, isn't it?
I totally love this car. I often look at Consumer Reports top picks list and think, if I just take one out of this list, it has to be one of these cars, which one would it be? And this year, it's definitely the RAV4 Prime. I love this car. The extra weight for the extra battery capacity that gives it its plug-in capabilities, I think really helped the ride. I think it helps the vehicle kind of hunker down a little bit more. I think it's a little quieter than the standard RAV4 hybrid. Easy controls. Predictive reliability is so good because that is what Toyota is known for, especially when it comes to hybrids. I think the RAV4 Prime is awesome if you can find one.
Well, let's jump ahead to this vehicle, the Kia Telluride, and that is also, if you can find one for mid-size 3-row SUV in the $35,000 to $45,000 category. Whenever we have people on from Kia, they said we wish we could have like 10 of these vehicles in our lineup. Hard to find, but wow, what a great value, right?
Yeah, we almost want to apologize to Kia for kind of crowning this a top pick a few years ago, but because it does everything so well, but impossible, like you said, impossible to find a great vehicle if you can get your hands on one.
Yeah, I saw one the other day that was really a base model. Tiny wheels, basic, but. Let's jump ahead to another one, and that is the Mach-E from Mustang. And I tell you what, I saw somebody with one of these. The guy told me he would never buy a Ford. He was told never to buy one by his parents, only Audis. But now he had one, and he was real happy with it. But we're going to have to leave it there, Mike. The time goes too fast with you. But if they want more information about Consumer Reports, top picks, and your brand report, where would they go?
Go to consumerreports.org, or if you like old school magazines, check out the April issue of Consumer Reports on newsstands now.
All right. Well, Mike Quincy, we appreciate it. Time for me to say I'm Fred Staub.
I'm Les Jackson.
We'll see you down the road.
Bye.